We are excited to get this deep dive started. It's April 15th, tax day. So hopefully you've filed and gotten your taxes in. If not, an extension. And hope this is a great Monday for you. We're going to talk about home prices and their impact on home equity this morning. Over the last several weeks, we've been on this journey of affordability and mortgage rates and prices, and we even talked about foreclosures a few weeks back. But the fact that home prices have been rising contributes to the enormous amount of home equity that people have across the country, and we're going to break that down for you this morning. So, as always, if you are joining the deep dive, let us know where you are watching from. It's great to start off this week and each week seeing people from all over the country joining the deep dive and being a part of the conversation. Some of the most important things that are happening in real estate is what we try to do each week on the deep dive. So I see folks joining here. Grateful to have you, Tamara. See you there in Alexandria, just down the road. Mike, see you there. Tina, see you in York, PA. Glad to have you on this morning. Next week, I'll actually not be here. I'll be at the Boomtown event, the Unite event down in Charleston, South Carolina. So if you're down there, say hello. Would love to connect. Kate will be on, Kate Resbeck from our team, talking about the reality of builders and the inventory they're bringing to market and the smaller home size that we're seeing built across the country. So you'll want to join for that. So good to see everybody joining this morning across the country. Share the deep dive with somebody that needs to be involved in the conversation, that needs to have this information to be the educated agent. With all the information that's come out with the NAR settlement, I think now more than ever, our challenge and our opportunity is to be the educator. It's to show people the value we bring to the transaction, show people the value we bring to them throughout the process of buying a home. So see so many people joining. Scott, see you down there in Destin. Ashley in Tucson. Roger, good to see you. So many people from across the country joining the deep dive. I'm going to get started here. If you missed it, we're going to talk about rising home prices and their impact on home equity and some pretty significant information out there to share with you. So let me go ahead and share my screen. We'll get this deep dive started. And I know people will continue to join as we get started. So I'll start here with a quote from Dr. Selma Hepp from CoreLogic. She does an amazing job. Rising home prices continue to fuel home equity. And there's, the truth about what we see out in home prices and what we see across this country right now. Home prices continue to rise in probably a more healthy way than what we saw in the last several years coming out of COVID. But she goes on to say, which home equity, she's talking about which at $298,000 per average borrower remain near historic highs at the end of 2023. By extension, at 43%, the average loan to value ratio of U.S. borrowers has also remained in line with record lows, which suggests that the typical homeowner has notable home equity reserves that can be tapped if needed. So, prices as they have risen have contributed to an enormous amount of home equity. And if you followed KCM, you know that we have talked about that extensively over the last several years. Coming out of COVID, that has been one of the silver linings in the real estate market is the enormous amount of equity that is in homes all over the country. And when people have equity, they have options. They have the opportunity to, maybe buy a second home, or maybe they're going to upgrade, or maybe they're even going to downsize and pay off the home that they have. But they have opportunity. They can send a child to school. They can maybe pay off debt. It provides people an enormous amount of opportunities that, in other markets, maybe they didn't have through home equity. But if we start to break this down and really, really understand it, I'm going to give you this map from FHFA. It's sort of a look in 4 different areas, quarter over quarter, year over year, over the past 5 years, and then since the first quarter of 1991, which is sort of this 30-year look. But quarter over quarter, 1.5% appreciation in residential real estate in this country Year over year, 6.5%. Over the past 5 years, 59%. Over 30 years, 311%. That is, a good thing for those that own homes, a good thing for those that want to go out and maybe buy a home and want to start building equity. FHFA said this in their quote: U.S. home prices rose 6.5% between the fourth quarter of 2022 and the fourth quarter of 2023. House prices were up 1.5% compared to the third quarter of 2023. Now, I think, as we start to talk about home prices and how that leads to equity, I want to give you a slide that when I saw it, I was like, gosh, that's amazing. I think it's a message that we want to get out there and be sort of talking about with people. And it's this right here. We've just wrapped up 48 consecutive quarters of positive price appreciation in this country. That's amazing. That's unbelievable. I had a chance to be at an event a couple of years ago, and I was on a panel with somebody that had been in the business a lot longer than I have. And they said, "Hey, what do you think about the different crises that come to housing and certainly in this country?" And their response was that home ownership always wins, and certainly we see that here in positive price appreciation through all the ups and downs, really going all the way back to the first quarter of 2012, which was really kind of the bottoming out from 2008. We've seen 48 consecutive quarters of positive price appreciation. That's amazing. I see your comment in there, Tamara. Wow, that is a wow sort of moment and perspective that I think is important for us to take a look at. And even as we look at crisis in the world and seeing things happening geopolitically and with wars over the weekend, and that it has a massive impact in our business. And if you've noticed or you've taken a look at the 10-year Treasury and what that's done to mortgage rates, sort of see this pop up right now. But throughout all of those issues, homes continue to rise in value. And the fact of the matter is, across the country, there are more people that want to buy a home than there are available homes for them to buy, and that will always keep positive pressure on home prices. And that then translates into home equity gains. Year over year, as of the fourth quarter of last year, the average home in this country has gained $24,000 in equity. And you look all across the country, wherever you're at, your particular state, you can see the impact of that rise. Go out west, California, $49,000 average home equity gain in a home. Come to the East Coast, I'm in Virginia, $32,000 in home equity gain. By and large, just about every state seeing positive price appreciation, Texas being the one that's seen slight decline in home equity. But no doubt that's a good thing for folks as prices continue to rise. It contributes to the massive amount of home equity. Like we said, the fourth quarter, U.S. homeowners gained approximately $24,000 in equity during the past year. One of the listing strategies and conversation strategies that's gotten some of the most traction over the last several months is an equity conversation. The average home gained $24,000. Do you know how much yours gained? Some type of interaction like that with somebody. I was on the phone last week with a good friend, Jimmy Mackin, who's the CEO of Curator, and he has started a new business called Listing Leads, where they give people, kind of ideas to say, hey, how do you interact with people? What are some proven strategies to start conversations? I will tell you, this is one of them, to say, hey, this is what homes across the country on average gained in value in equity. Do you know how much yours gained in value? Do you know how much you have in equity? Okay. Do you now know what you want to do with that equity? Are you going to buy a second home? You're going to send a child to college? You're going to start a business? You're going to, move up, maybe downsize, whatever the case is, like we talked about. No doubt people will make those decisions. And as we go throughout the year, more and more people will say, look, we put off making a decision last year, or we put off making a decision, and we want to move forward. Sharon, I see your question there. How is home equity calculated? In general, it's the value of the home minus what you owe on it. That is home equity, right? That's how much you can access if you want to go out and sell your home and leverage those dollars to maybe buy a new home or do whatever you're going to do. The bottom line is across the country, and this is an updated graph that we have kept updated year over year, at KCM, Americans are sitting on a tremendous amount of equity. 67.4% of the people in this country either have their mortgage paid off or they have at least 50% equity in their home. That would be termed equity rich. You see 38.7 in the little pie graph here own their home free and clear. Almost 40% of people own their home in this country free and clear. And then you see, the ones that have mortgaged homes with 50% equity, those that have greater than 50% equity. And, when you look out at it, there's a tremendous amount of equity. Now that's fueled by appreciation. And, as of January, the year over year look, around 6% home price appreciation in this country. So I keep kind of bringing this point up. These are a lot of different looks at FHFA and Case-Shiller and CoreLogic. These are same home sales in this country. It runs in arrears, usually takes a couple of months to get that information. But, a lot of people we've talked about on the deep dive think home prices are going down. Really, 1 in 4, 1 in 5 people in this country believe prices are going to go down. And you just don't see that when you start to look at the numbers across the country. And Lawrence Yun said this. I think it's probably one of the best realities of where we sit. Prices will remain firm and will not decline on a national level. And that has been the case even over the last 60 years. Price appreciation has been strong in this country. Even if you go and you look at, and I'll try to bring my mouse here, the area around 2008, slight declines. What everybody remembers when they hear the word recession, even today, it's what everybody remembers when they hear, any talk of the housing market and prices going up. They think, well, here we go again. But the truth is, going all the way back for the last 60 years, price appreciation has been strong. The other thing that's been strong as well, and I when I show this graphic, I always want to show the other one. So has the increase in rent over the last 60 years. There's no doubt that as prices have gone up, rents have gone up as well. And many people are thinking about, should I buy a home right now? And we talked about this on the deep dive last week. If you haven't watched last week's deep dive, I want you to go back in and watch it, because there are areas that you can look at and say, okay, it is slightly cheaper maybe to go out and rent than buy a home. Well, when you start to add in the accumulation of equity, it always defeats that conversation. Now, it does take into account that you have enough money to go out and spend the extra $100 or $200 on buying a mortgage payment. It does take into account you have the down payment. But today, with the affordable ways you can get into a home, with grants, with the things that are being done to help people get into homes, it is achievable. It's more expensive, less affordable than what it has been in the past, but it is definitely worth it. Well, the rise in prices, the rise in rents, the gap in the net worth of a renter versus a homeowner is widening. And gosh, you got to look at 2019 to up until 2022, the latest information from the Fed. The average gap between a renter and a homeowner in their net worth is just over $385,000. That's shocking. And I'll give you a couple of other looks here in just a minute at that. But no doubt the gap in net worth is growing. The number one way that people in this country build wealth is through home ownership. That is a fact. And so if you're off the merry-go-round, if you're not in the position to own right now, then you're not in the position to accumulate equity. You're not in the position to grow your net worth through home ownership. You know, the net worth of a homeowner is almost 40 times greater than a renter. I will guarantee you that if you will take this slide today and you'll use it to talk about people, you maybe even use it in a rental campaign. If you're talking to renters and you want to go out and engage them, there is no doubt that this will get conversation started. And many times people think, well, that's just because of who you're comparing. You're comparing a renter to a homeowner, and there's different life stages and, all those types of things that people think. Well, you know, our team has broken this down by even income level. And if you look at the income level on the left-hand side here, anywhere from $31,000 to $56,000, the difference in renter net worth versus homeowner net worth is substantial. And certainly it goes up as income goes up. And that's understandable. You know, the higher your income, likely the greater difference you're going to have in net worth between an owner, a homeowner, and a renter. But you see, it's top to bottom. No matter the earning category, there's still a massive difference between renters and homeowners. Now, I think this is a point. This takes into consideration that homeownership is the right thing for the individual or the family right now. It takes into account that they, you know, in a financial position where they can buy a home. But if all those things are true, owning a home makes so much sense. And the bottom line too in that is that the actual home is a crucial piece of someone's net worth. And this is kind of the same study that we just looked at, but this shows the equity in their primary residence as a, you know, sort of visual representation of their net worth. And you see it's substantial in every category. Owning a home makes sense. Certainly the rise in prices has contributed substantially to the rise in home equity. And that is something that we want to be vocal about as we talk to people, as we're getting information out in the market, as we're out showing people this is what's happening right now in the real estate market. You know, one of the things that I think oftentimes becomes the challenge is people say, hey, well, I want to get into the housing market. Maybe I can't afford to, maybe there's another reason. We want to show more people how they can get in. Next week, Kate is going to talk about that. She's going to talk, and I want to give you one quote here in just a second about the fact that builders are building smaller homes to meet the demand and meet the need of buyers across the country. Veterans United said this: opting for a smaller, more budget-friendly house means you don't have to save up as much of a down payment and upfront cost of owning a home. This approach simplifies and speeds up the home buying process, letting you become a homeowner sooner. In fact, many renters are drawn to smaller homes because they are less expensive and can start building equity quickly. Next week, we will talk about the benefits of buying a home. I will not be here. Kate will be. You're going to want to join that deep dive and get all that information so that you can be the most educated agent on these topics and start your week off the best way. So as always, I'm grateful for everybody that joins the deep dive. It'll be here. Share it with somebody that needs to know this information so that we can have more people educated on the topics that matter the most in real estate. And hope you have a great Monday. Hope you have a great week this week, and we'll see you back next week.